Hello, I'm Liana and welcome to Nanyang Spectrum. This week we learn how a group of NTU students are helping underprivileged children. Also in business, we talk to student entrepreneurs as well as some budding businessmen behind the popular school food delivery service, Hotbox. And next talk covers careers in performing arts to a professor from the NTU School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences. Also a chance to win some attractive prizes by answering our simple quiz about the news stories reported in this program. While NTU's final year students are busy finishing their final projects, one particular group have managed to combine their project with helping less fortunate members of the community. It is indeed a project with a heart.
The sparkles of this bustling island often blind people from the struggles of the urban poor. Here in one of the rented apartments of Singapore, the not-so-posh part of one of the richest countries in the world, children grow up with less. Lately, a handful of youth have taken the initiative to explore and understand these children's lives. Students from NTU's Wikimui School of Communication, Candice Neo, Benny Lim and their two other groupmates are embarking on their final year project, a multimedia website that sheds light on the lives of children from low-income families.
Growing up less actually started from the whole idea of poverty in Singapore because it's actually a topic that is quite close to our hearts. It is a topic that is not often explored by Singapore's media, not very extensively covered. So we decided to zoom in on children, on how they actually grow up in living in this kind of environment where they have very complicated families, where there are drug addicts and lurking in the corridors, where all this environment is actually so unhealthy for them to grow up in.
Aside from growing up with less, other initiatives have been taken as well.
Then the other project would be the rice distribution to rental units in Nation South. We went around each of the rental units and actually gave out a sack of rice, and we actually engaged student volunteers in the meantime also to actually ask the residents what are some of the items they wish for.
While these initiatives are being carried out, other youth seem to have very different takes when it comes to volunteering.
Actually, I wanted to join the welfare service club, but I'm not free recently, so I didn't join.
I think it's a deeper, deeper sense of civic mindedness amongst our youth today. They are keen to be more active in playing a role in their community. So mentoring is a convenient way for them to contribute.
Some youth take it upon themselves to help society, while others are driven by a little motivation. However, the objectives of these initiatives remain the same, that is for children from low-income families to not fall behind simply because of their circumstances. Hopefully, with increased awareness and help, these children will not have to carry on the cycle of poverty into their adulthood. This is Claire Chin reporting for Nanyang Spectrum.
The shuttle bus service in NTU provides a convenient means of getting into and around the university. While this service is a welfare project that was initiated by the student union, some have raised their concern as to the welfare of the bus drivers. Lu Yang with the story.
In light of recent student conflicts with bus drivers in NTU, we take to the campus grounds to find out what students have to say about the shuttle bus system in NTU and the shuttle bus drivers as well.
I think sometimes the bus drivers drive a bit too fast. They tend to brake very hard sometimes.
Okay. Do you know that most of the drivers are actually from mainland China?
Yeah.
Does it bother you?
Not really.
Okay. Do you think that the drivers drive safely?
I would say some of them drive quite slowly, and I think walking will be faster.
I think the drivers are generally, the ones that I take, they generally drive quite safe. So I have no complaints on that front.
Actually, they are trained for their F1 driving skills in NTU. Then it's kind of dangerous, but then we get used to it. So, but it should be a consequence.
Okay, How about regarding safety issues?
Oh, safety. I have this issue with one of the bus drivers because when he drives, he doesn't brake when the bus reaches the hump. So I think that's something to be concerned about.
The shuttle bus system, I think at certain parts of the school where there are more students crossing, they should be slowing down. But I find that they're going at too fast a pace at times.
Have you had any particularly bad experiences with the bus driver?
Slightly too late, then you're making noise and say, next time press earlier, okay, that kind of thing. Sometimes the PRC, they are nicer than the Singaporeans. Sometimes.
We've spoken to some of the students in NTU and garnered their opinion on the issue. Most of them have positive things to say about the bus drivers, but negative things to say about the shuttle bus system. So, what's your take on the issue?
Superficiality is something that the fashion industry is often accused of. But does this stereotype of models as nothing more than pretty faces hold true? Nanyang Spectrum reporters find the answers in what may appear to be all form and no content.
We see models basking in the glitz and glamour, but are they more than just pretty faces? Nowadays, online shopping has become a fashion. And guess what? Most of the people running our local blog shops are pretty faces themselves. The founders come models post for their very own brands of clothes, telling you that they have what it takes to be both an entrepreneur and fashionista. Let's hear it from Miss Kayla Tan. She's a fellow NTU student and has just graduated from the school 2 years ago. She's the Singapore representative for the Asia's Next Top Models. Now let's hear from her to see her perspective about the stereotype that models are nothing more than just pretty faces.
In the past, I would actually feel very annoyed, and I think that these people are actually very shallow. But now, I would just smile at them and tell them that it takes more than just the face to be a model, and also more than just the body. It's the attitude and the personality that counts.
So has this stereotype affected you in any way?
I would say initially, no, it didn't really bother me at all. When I tried to venture out into something different, like as of now, I'm doing my own business, it seems like people don't take me very seriously. So it's really a challenge for me to tell them that I'm not just a pretty face. And I guess at the end of the day, when my business is all set up, it proves to them.
Now that we've heard it from a model herself, let's take it to the streets to see what other people say.
I think the stereotype is not very true because like, for example, a lot of people think I'm a bimbo, but actually, I think my grades are pretty good.
But of course there are exceptions with my friend over here. She has both the beauty and brains.
I think that claim that pretty girls and bimbos are quite unfounded because there is more to a girl than just her looks.
That's not fair for you to determine that they are bimbo based on their look.
I guess there's a certain rationale to that stereotype in that people who spend more time grooming themselves tend to spend less time on intellectual pursuits.
I got friends that are beautiful and also they're very smart. Yeah, just that maybe the image they give us is that they're very bimbotic.
In Let's Talk, we will find more about the life as a chemistry researcher as Shifana talks to Professor Roderick Bates, an associate professor at NTU.
Teaching undergraduates and researching may not be an appealing lifestyle for all, but sometimes the importance is all too often hidden amongst what may appear as the mundane. I have with me Associate Professor Roderick Bates from the School of Physical and Mathematical Sciences, as well as the Associate Chair of Safety and Infrastructure. Professor Bates has a life in chemistry. Why chemistry?
Why chemistry?
Yes.
I think when I was at secondary school, when we actually got to do a little bit of chemistry in the classroom, I just found it amazing that you could take these materials, this matter, and do something very simple to it, like dissolve it in acid, and then you'd convert it into something completely different. I thought that was quite amazing. So I decided that's what I want to do. I want to do chemistry.
That is indeed amazing. So what was your motivation to become a professor? You are both a professor as well as an organic chemist. What was your motivation to become a professor in the first place?
To become a professor, well, when I went to university, I liked it. So I decided to stay. And I've been in the university ever since, just because I like the university atmosphere, you know, full of people trying to gain new knowledge and talking about things. So I just like that atmosphere. So I became a professor.
Oh, that's great. So what was your motivation to become an organic chemist?
Oh, organic chemistry. Well, you see, you don't really study organic chemistry properly when you get to university, where you have organic and inorganic and physical chemistry and so forth. And organic chemistry was the one that made the most sense to me. I could actually understand it. So I thought, better do something I understand. And so I've been an organic chemist ever since.
I see. That's nice to hear. So you just mentioned that you've been in a lot of universities in the past.
Yeah.
So in that case, why do you actually choose NTU out of the
Well, this was very special because, as you may, I don't know if you know, but the chemistry as well as physics and mathematics at NTU only started in 2005. And normally when you apply for an academic job, you apply for a job in a department that already exists. And then you join an existing department where everything is set, everything's already been organized and done. And you always, there's things you don't like and you want to change, but you can't because that's the way it is. But this was an opportunity to join a brand new department where we could write everything and create everything as we thought would be right. And I think that's an opportunity that very few people have in the academic field. So, I mean, I just took that opportunity. And it's been very exciting.
That's really nice. It's a good opportunity indeed, I guess.
It was indeed, yes.
So you're actually majoring in chemistry, but then you're a forensic science professor?
Well, I teach our forensic science elective,
You teach forensic science. Why is that so? Why that field?
Well, that's very simple to explain. When I came to interview, the man who was then the dean of this school that did not yet exist explained to me about the GER system at NTU. And he said that he wanted the new school to offer some GER courses, and could I think of any good suggestions? So I just came up with the first thing off the top of my head, which was forensic science. And then he followed that up with the question, can you teach it? And because it was the job interview and I wanted the job, I said yes. And the rest is history.
That's nice. So you came up with a module of forensic science.
Well, after I said yes, I could teach it, then yes, I had to come up with the module.
That's great. A lot of students love forensic science and everyone's competing for it.
It does have a certain popularity, yes.
Yes, it does. I see. That's nice to hear from you. So how long have you been teaching forensic science for, and have you been doing research on that as well?
No, I don't do research on forensic science. For research, I stick to my real specialty, which is organic chemistry.
Organic chemistry, okay.
So we've been teaching forensic science since 2005, which was the year the school opened.
Okay.
And I guess we're going to keep on teaching it.
I see. That's nice. Yes, you should keep on teaching it. You've done many research in the past, I guess.
Yes.
So which is your most favorite research, or is there any interesting research that you'd like to share with us?
The one that at the moment is my favorite, the kind of organic chemistry I do is synthesis.
I see.
So synthesis particularly of natural products. These are molecules that exist in nature. We see if we can make them in the laboratory. So the one I like the most that we achieved is a molecule called sedenine. And when you decide to synthesize a molecule, you have to plan how to do it. You can't just pull things off the shelf at random and mix them up. And this particular synthesis I probably was being planned for more than 5 years, with different ideas coming and going and different pieces of information coming in to make a kind of jigsaw. And then after about 5 years of planning, then I knew how to do it. And then my PhD student, very good student, she did it. But even with all that planning, the last step didn't work as I said it would.
Oh, yeah.
But my student solved the problem. And with all these projects, the best ones are where it's the student who solves the problem, not the professor. Because it's a university, we're here for students to learn.
That's true.
So, yeah, the one I'm most proud of at the moment is sedenine.
Nice. So planning took you 5 years for a new project?
That one, yes. Thinking about it on and off for about 5 years. Learning little things along the way until it all came together. And then there was a moment when it all came together and I knew we could do it and I knew we could do it nicely.
That's really a big project.
It was actually a lot longer thinking about the project than doing the project.
I see. Thank you so much for sharing with us your experiences, Prof. Had a great time talking to you about chemistry, and I'd like to wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Liana.
Thank you, Shifana. Juggling between studies and co-curricular activity or hall activities usually proves a tough enough task for most students. However, this doesn't seem to be the case for the 4 founders behind the Hotbox, a new NTU supper delivery service.
Juggling between studies and CCA or hall activities usually proves a tough enough task for most students. However, this doesn't seem to be the case for the 4 founders behind the Hotbox, NTU's new supper delivery service. What motivated them to start up their own business despite already being full-time students? And what's it like in a typical day of these students' lives? Let's find out. The Hotbox joined the ranks of Supper Club in Nomster late in December 2012. It claims to be the answer to customers' late-night supper cravings with a wide variety of good quality food delivered conveniently to students at collection points at each of the 16 halls.
Started staying officially in year 3, and yeah, I've been eating their food for a year, and apart from instant noodles, and it's really boring. So yeah, I thought, why not just bring in more food and we have a better ordering platform.
What we want to offer is food items that are away, they're more novel, you know, and people will enjoy it because it's fresh, it's new. So that was our starting point, and then we want to build on this point such that every food item that we give or we provide would be somewhere not around NTU, somewhere away from NTU that is hard to get.
And yet, the day-to-day running of the business is done on top of their regular commitments as students.
Ho Guan is staying in hall, so he'll wait for us and he'll wait for one of us in the hall. Kessler and I will do the delivery each week, so we do on a shift basis, so each of us take 2 days.
Basically, our plan is to capture more audiences in NTU itself. So then after that, once we have established ourselves here in NTU, we hope to move on to other institutions like NUS, SMU, or other polytechnics as well. So our grand plan is basically to capture, to deliver supper to Singapore in large. Yeah.
Being the newest player on the field certainly isn't easy, but the 4 brains behind the Hotbox certainly seem determined to tackle any challenges ahead of them with plans far ahead into the future. In any case, residents from the halls will definitely be spoiled for choice with 3 supper delivery services to choose from. Only time will tell if the Hotbox will succeed in their ambitious endeavours. This is Hui Ting reporting live for Spectrum TV.
In part 2 of our Let's Talk series, Lionel discusses the pursuit of a career in Singapore's performing arts scene with a graduate from LaSalle College of the Arts.
My guest has directed Ota Shogo Sarachi and Triptych, an adaptation of Stephen Sewell's. She is a face to watch in the performing arts scene in Singapore. So let us find out more from Yeknia. So Yeknia, could you share with us what ignited your passion in the performing arts?
I think it was something that I was always interested in, arts in general. So when I went to TKGS, Nanyang Girls' School, for secondary school, and I did drama club there, I kind of got into things, and like usually what gets to me is the audience members' reaction or their feedback. And you always, whether you do a good show or a bad show, you always have 1 or 2 people coming up to you and telling you that something about the show impacted them. And that's what keeps me driven, I guess. Like keeps me driven to do better work or do something that kind of affects people in general. Yeah.
But in Singapore, majority of people don't pursue arts degrees. So at which point in time did you realize that this is what you wanted to do?
When I went to JC, I did theatre and TSD, Theatre Studies and Drama. Yes. So I guess it was a growing thing. It grew on me gradually, and then finally by the end of my time at Tampines Junior College, I was like, you know, I've enjoyed doing this the most all my life. I mean, I tried maths, I tried science, I've done everything, and out of everything, the one that stuck on the most with me, like even though I was crying doing all my projects, it was theatre. So I thought, you know, if this is the one thing that's going to make me happy.
Yeah, but what are some of the challenges which you faced along the way?
Challenges, of course, production issues. You always have, like as a director, it's hard to sometimes communicate a vision that you have. You have an idea, but not everyone has the same idea as you. You argue, you don't get what you want, you don't have enough money. And that's one of the biggest problems, not having enough money in a show. So there's always these challenges, like even the show that I'm doing now, like I'm assistant directing, it's hard to get the people that you want all the time, you know. So you're calling people up for my graduation show as well, calling people up, can you do my show for me? How much are you going to pay me? You know. So you have all these issues that come up, and communication breakdowns, and actor breakdowns, and director breakdowns as well.
So in spite of all these challenges, I think you mentioned some of the shows which you've directed in the past. Why don't you share with us some of your best experiences from there?
One of the best shows I did was actually, it was a mid-year show that I did for my final year at LaSalle. It was called Sarachi, written by a Japanese playwright and director, Ota Shogo. I was working with LaSalle actors, then in level 1, and it was really, really a heartwarming show for me, because it was the first time that I directed a whole show by myself. And it was amazing how open the actors were in taking direction. And it was the topic itself was something very close to my heart. It was a lot about amnesia that Singaporeans I feel are getting because of the constant revamping of Singapore. Like we're always knocking buildings down and building new things. And for me, identity is connected to what you see around yourself. And if everything that you constantly see around yourself is constantly being broken down, what happens to your identity? So, and it kind of connected very personally to me on a lot of matters, and was very like family oriented and all. So yeah, that was one of the best experiences that I ever had.
Okay, that's great. So can I just check with you, what ambitions do you have? Where do you see yourself?
I'd like to do a lot of theatre from now on. I mean, constantly doing theatre, constantly just being in the theatre scene. It's there's a lot of adrenaline to it. So yeah, I just see myself doing theatre.
And I also understand you actually teach students. Yeah. So what advice do you have for these students who foresee a career for themselves in the arts?
It's not easy. It's not easy. Like you're constantly falling down. There are a lot of challenges. But if you're passionate, no matter what obstacle you see in your way, take it as a wall and break the wall down. I think it.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for your time. Back to you, Liana.
Well, it's time for us to go. But before I say goodbye, here comes a chance for you to win some attractive prizes. If you have been paying attention to our news program so far, this competition is for you. The first question. In our story about youth volunteers, what are the names of the students who took up the final year project to help the less fortunate people in the community? And the second question, in our story about enterprising models, what is the name of the model interviewed? If you know what the answers are, simply email your answer to nanyangspectrumtv@gmail.com. I'll repeat that, it's nanyangspectrumtv@gmail.com. Don't forget to leave your name and contact number so we can get back to you. You can also log on to www.spectrumtv.sg for more information and a webcast of our show. See you next week on Nanyang Spectrum. Goodbye.